Ethan stared at the blinking console in front of him, the hum of the space station filling the room like a low, constant heartbeat. He had been assigned to Station Arden, a human research outpost at the edge of explored space, to monitor communications between humans and alien species. It was a quiet assignment, mostly filled with data logs, maintenance checks, and long stretches of nothingness. Tonight, however, the station felt different. The air seemed charged, almost as if it knew something important was about to happen. The console blinked again, but this time it was different. A message appeared in a code Ethan had never seen before. It was brief, almost a whisper through the speakers, and it read, "You want to know if I'm not wearing anything underneath?" The text made no sense in context. The station was a professional environment. No one would send messages like that. Ethan frowned and ran a hand through his hair. He pulled up the communication logs and saw a pattern. The message wasn't a mistake. It was encrypted, hidden within a larger transmission of alien origin. The sender's ID was marked as Lyra, a researcher from a nearby alien colony. Ethan's mind raced. He had read about Lyra in his training. She was known for testing human adaptability and intelligence. Her experiments were famous across the galaxy, but he had never interacted with her before, and the sudden, strange message left him uneasy and curious. Ethan began tracing the signal. The transmission seemed to be coming from a hidden lab somewhere in the station, a place that wasn't on any official map. His pulse quickened. The idea of discovering a secret alien lab was thrilling, but also dangerous. If he was caught, the consequences could be severe. Still, his curiosity outweighed his caution. He grabbed his toolkit, a small handheld scanner and a portable data pad, then left the control room. The corridors of Station Ardent were long and dimly lit. Lights flickered occasionally, casting shadows that danced across the metal walls. Ethan moved quietly, listening for any sounds that might indicate another presence. The station was usually empty at this hour, but tonight, every creak and hum felt amplified. He kept the scanner close, following the signal through twists and turns of corridors that seemed to stretch endlessly. Finally, he reached a large metal door with no markings. The scanner beeped rapidly. Ethan's heart pounded as he examined the door's locking mechanism. It was unlike anything he had seen before, a combination of alien tech and human interface. He took a deep breath, remembering all the training he had received. Patience, observation, and logic were key. Slowly, carefully, he manipulated the controls, matching the scanner's readings to the patterns in the lock. With a quiet hiss, the door slid open, revealing a room bathed in soft blue light. Inside, the lab was filled with equipment that seemed both familiar and strange. Computers hummed with alien symbols scrolling across the screens. Strange devices floated in zero-gravity chambers, and containers held glowing liquids that shifted colors like liquid rainbows. In the center of the room stood Lyra. She was taller than most humans, with an elegant posture that radiated intelligence and confidence. Her eyes were sharp and observant, scanning the room as she adjusted instruments with precise movements. Ethan froze. He had expected to be caught or confronted, but Lyra didn't seem surprised. Instead, she gave a small, almost amused smile. "I wondered when a human would notice," she said, her voice calm and melodic. "You found the hidden signal." Ethan swallowed hard. I didn't mean to intrude, I just saw a strange transmission and I traced it here." His words sounded awkward even to his own ears. He tried to steady his breathing. "I'm Ethan. I work in communications." Lyra's gaze softened slightly, but her sharpness remained. "I know who you are. Your reputation precedes you, human. Curiosity, intelligence, and adaptability, these are qualities I am testing in my research. The message you saw, it was part of the protocol, not what you think." She gestured to a console displaying complex patterns. "It is meant to observe responses to ambiguous stimuli. Humans often misinterpret signals when context is missing. You have already demonstrated the first part of the test by tracing the message here. Ethan's mind raced. So the message was not personal. It was a test. The realization brought a mix of relief and intrigue. A test. I understand. What do I need to do? Lyra moved gracefully to another console, her fingers dancing over the controls. You will face challenges that require human ingenuity. The station is under observation, not by me, but by other factions who would exploit weakness. You must navigate these challenges, showing resourcefulness, courage, and cooperation. Ethan nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. I'll do my best. The first challenge came quickly. Alarms blared throughout the station, red lights flashing. Ethan glanced at Lyra, who remained calm, her eyes scanning multiple displays. A rogue AI has been triggered in the maintenance sector, she said. It is attempting to override security protocols. If it succeeds, it will lock down the station entirely. Ethan's mind worked quickly. He remembered the station schematics he had memorized. The AI could be accessed through the central hub, but reaching it would mean navigating corridors rigged with automated defenses. He turned to Lyra. Which route should I take? Use the service tunnels, she said. They are narrow and poorly mapped. The AI's sensors may miss you there, but you must be careful. One mistake and the AI will isolate you from the network. Ethan moved with purpose, his steps measured and quiet. The service tunnels were tight, the air recycled and slightly stale. The hum of the station was replaced by the distant clank of machinery. Every corner he turned brought new sensors and automated patrols. Using his scanner, he managed to disable traps and bypass security fields. His heart pounded, but his mind remained focused. Finally, he reached the central hub. The AI's core was a pulsating orb of light, surrounded by cables and alien tech. Ethan analyzed the system, identifying weak points in the AI's programming. Following Lyra's guidance, he uploaded a series of countercodes, carefully avoiding the security protocols that would alert the AI. The orb flickered, then stabilized, signaling the AI had been contained. Lyra appeared behind him, her expression approving. Impressive, she said. You did not panic. You observed, analyzed, and acted with precision. Human intuition and logic are remarkable. Ethan felt a flush of pride, though he kept his voice steady. It was just careful planning and observation. Lyra smiled, though it was a small, knowing smile. That is what makes humans different. Your species has an unusual combination of creativity and adaptability. Many aliens underestimate this. She paused, her gaze turning thoughtful. You may not realize it yet, but your actions tonight will have consequences beyond this station. Before Ethan could ask what she meant, a new alert sounded. This one was subtler, almost a whisper through the speakers. The station's network had detected an external signal. Another faction, one that did not approve of human involvement, was approaching. Their ships were still in hyperspace, but they would arrive soon. Ethan looked at Lyra, uncertainty in his eyes. What do we do? Lyra moved to a holographic display, showing schematics of the station and nearby space. We prepare. You will need to assist me in reinforcing the station's defenses, but more importantly, you will need to show leadership. The aliens you will meet may doubt you at first, but your resourcefulness can earn their respect. Ethan nodded. The weight of the task settled over him, but he felt a strange surge of determination. He was human, and humans were capable of things even the galaxy had yet to understand. Hours passed as he worked alongside Lyra, setting up defenses, analyzing the approaching fleet, and coordinating with automated systems. The station, once quiet and predictable, now buzzed with tension and activity. Ethan found himself thinking not just about survival, but about potential, what humans could accomplish in a galaxy that often underestimated them. By the time the first lights of the station's artificial day cycle glowed, Ethan and Lyra had prepared as much as possible. They stood together in the central lab, watching the approaching dots on the holographic display, symbols of potential conflict yet also of opportunity. Lyra looked at Ethan, her expression unreadable for a moment, then softened. "You have passed the first test, Ethan, but the true challenge is just beginning. The universe is larger, stranger, and more dangerous than you imagine. And yet, humans have a way of surprising even the most experienced alien observers." Ethan felt a mixture of pride, excitement, and apprehension. He had entered this station expecting routine work, but he was now part of something far greater. He didn't yet know the full scope of the test, or the secrets Lyra held, but he understood one thing clearly. Humans had the ability to rise above expectation, to act with courage and intelligence, and to claim a place among the stars. As he looked out at the distant glimmer of alien worlds through the lab's viewports, he made a silent promise to himself. He would not just survive. He would prove the worth of humanity in a galaxy that needed it more than ever. And somewhere, deep in the encrypted networks of the station, Lyra watched and recorded, noting every action, every choice, every spark of ingenuity. Her test was ongoing, and Ethan was only just beginning to show what humans were capable of. Ethan spent the next few hours helping Lyra strengthen the station's defenses. The approaching fleet was still distant, but sensors showed their trajectory was precise. They were not random travelers. They were a faction that did not want humans meddling in alien affairs. The tension in the lab was thick, yet Ethan felt alive. For the first time, he realized the galaxy was bigger than anything he had been trained for. Lyra moved with calm precision, checking each console and adjusting shield outputs. "We cannot stop them with weapons alone," she said. "We must be smarter. They will try to disable our systems, confuse our sensors, and force us to make mistakes. That is why humans are essential. Your creativity and adaptability can outmatch their brute force." Ethan nodded, listening carefully. He had been trained in human engineering and station operations, but what Lyra asked was different. It was about strategy, quick thinking, and improvisation under pressure. He understood that mistakes could cost lives, not just human but alien too. As the fleet drew closer, Lyra led him to the observation deck. The viewport showed a vast expanse of space, dotted with tiny, glimmering ships that grew larger as they approached. Ethan's eyes widened. He had seen battles simulated in training, but this was real. The fleet's formation was tight, their movements precise. They were clearly experienced, a force that had conquered and intimidated many before. "Your first task," Lyra said, "is to confuse their sensors. They rely on automated tracking. If we can create multiple false targets, we can buy time." She handed Ethan a small control pad connected to the station's exterior drones. Ethan examined it. The drones were capable of high-speed movement and could project holographic images. He thought for a moment. Instead of simply scattering them randomly, he programmed the drones to mimic the station's energy signature, then to break formation unpredictably. It was a risky move. If the enemies detected the pattern, they would focus fire on the drones. The moment he activated the drones, red alarms flashed. Sensors reported the enemy ships were adjusting their course. Ethan held his breath as the drones darted in complex patterns, creating the illusion of multiple stations. The fleet hesitated, confused by the false signals. For a brief moment, the upper hand belonged to the humans. Lyra watched him closely. "Good thinking," she said. "You did not follow a predictable pattern. That is why humans survive where others fail." Ethan allowed himself a small smile. It was the first praise he had received from Lyra, and it felt earned. But there was no time to relax. The fleet would adapt quickly, and the next challenge was already approaching. A sudden alert interrupted the moment. The station's internal security systems detected unauthorized access. Someone, or something, was trying to infiltrate the lab. Ethan and Lyra exchanged glances. It could be a spy from the fleet, Lyra said, or an automated intruder. Either way, we must act fast. Ethan grabbed a portable scanner and followed Lyra as they moved through the corridors. The lights flickered again, casting long shadows that seemed to move with them. The intruder was fast, but Ethan noticed patterns in the energy readings. Someone was trying to avoid the sensors, but the human mind could anticipate randomness better than machines alone. He whispered, "Follow my lead. I think I can predict its path." Lyra nodded. They moved through side corridors, using low-gravity lifts and maintenance shafts to bypass security grids. Ethan's heart pounded with excitement and fear. He had never navigated the station under such conditions before. Every step required calculation, observation, and timing. Finally, they cornered the intruder in a small chamber. Ethan raised the scanner. The figure turned. It was not a human. It was a small alien operative, agile and armed with technology unfamiliar to him. Its movements were precise, almost robotic. Ethan focused, remembering Lyra's words, creativity and adaptability. Instead of attacking, he used the environment. He triggered a magnetic field in the chamber, causing the intruder to be suspended midair for a brief moment. That pause was enough for Lyra to activate a containment field, safely trapping the alien without causing harm. Lyra's eyes gleamed with approval. "Excellent. You acted without fear and found a solution that did not escalate the situation. That is rare." Ethan exhaled, feeling a surge of confidence. He was beginning to understand the essence of the test. It was not about strength or weapons. It was about intelligence, courage, and the ability to think beyond the obvious. Hours passed, and the distant fleet continued to advance. Ethan and Lyra worked tirelessly, reinforcing the station's shields, coordinating drones, and analyzing enemy patterns. Through their efforts, the fleet's approach slowed. They were cautious, unsure of what the humans were capable of. During a brief pause, Ethan asked, "Lyra, why humans? Why test us like this?" Lyra's gaze softened as she looked at the stars outside. "Many species underestimate humans. We see your history, your struggles, and often dismiss your abilities. But humans have qualities others lack: creativity, resilience, and the capacity to adapt under extreme circumstances. You may be young in galactic terms, but you have potential to influence events on a scale others cannot imagine." Ethan felt a mix of pride and responsibility. He had always known humans were resourceful, but hearing it from Lyra, someone who had studied countless species, made it real. Suddenly, an alert sounded again, louder this time. The fleet had deployed a specialized strike team, attempting to board the station. Ethan and Lyra moved quickly to the defensive control room. The strategy was clear: use the station's interior to their advantage. The corridors were narrow, allowing them to funnel intruders. Ethan set traps, using magnetic pulses and automated barriers to slow the enemy. Lyra coordinated energy fields and defensive drones. The first wave of the boarding team was halted, confused by the unpredictable human tactics. Ethan felt exhilarated. Each success built his confidence, reinforcing the idea that human intelligence could overcome superior technology. He adapted on the fly, adjusting strategies as the intruders changed their approach. The second wave came, more determined, but Ethan and Lyra were ready. They moved together through the station, covering each other's blind spots, using distractions and improvising solutions. At one point, Ethan reprogrammed a maintenance drone to act as a decoy, drawing enemy fire while Lyra secured critical systems. By the time the last intruder was contained, the station was still intact. Ethan's mind raced, reviewing every move he had made. Lyra turned to him, eyes shining with approval. "You have surpassed expectations, Ethan. You have not only preserved the station but demonstrated qualities that even seasoned aliens lack: courage, foresight, and ingenuity. This is why humans are essential in the galaxy." Ethan felt a wave of relief and pride. He had survived the test so far, and more importantly, he had proven that humans could hold their own against formidable opponents. Lyra moved to a console and activated a communication link. Holographic symbols displayed messages from various alien observers. "They are watching," she said, "and they are impressed. Your actions tonight have not gone unnoticed. You have earned respect and, more importantly, trust." Ethan absorbed the moment. He realized that the events of this night were more than a test. They were a statement. Humans could be allies, leaders, and problem solvers in a galaxy filled with uncertainty. As the station settled into a tense calm, Ethan and Lyra reviewed the events. Every decision, every action had consequences. Ethan's adaptability had been tested to the limit and he had passed, but Lyra's gaze hinted at more challenges ahead. "The true test," she said, "is not over. External forces will continue to challenge you, and the decisions you make next will shape the future of human involvement in this region of space." Ethan nodded. He was ready. He had learned that fear could be controlled, that intelligence could be applied creatively, and that humans were capable of far more than anyone had believed. As he looked out the viewport, watching the stars and the distant approaching fleet, he felt a sense of purpose. Humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, problem solvers, and potential leaders in the galaxy. The night had proven it, and Ethan was determined to continue showing the universe what humanity could achieve. Lyra placed a hand on the console, her gaze distant yet focused. "Tomorrow will bring more tests," she said. "But tonight, you have shown what it means to be human." Ethan smiled, feeling both exhausted and exhilarated. The challenges were far from over, but he now understood the core of the trial. Survival was important, but ingenuity, courage, and adaptability were what truly set humans apart. And as the stars glimmered outside the station, he made a silent vow. Whatever came next, he would face it with intelligence, courage, and the unwavering determination that defined his species. The galaxy was vast, mysterious, and dangerous, but humans had a place in it, and Ethan intended to claim it. The distant fleet had not yet attacked directly, but Ethan knew their patience would not last forever. He and Lyra worked tirelessly, analyzing every data stream, running simulations, and preparing for the inevitable confrontation. The station hummed with life. Machines, drones, and both human and alien intelligence combined into a synchronized force ready to defend itself. Ethan had grown more confident. Each challenge tested his creativity and courage, and he had proven humans could think beyond what any algorithm or alien protocol expected. Yet, despite his accomplishments, a part of him felt uneasy. The fleet's power was immense and failure was not an option. Lyra approached him, her expression serious but calm. "Ethan, you have done exceptionally well, but the next phase will test more than your intellect. It will test your ability to lead and inspire trust among allies who do not yet know you." Ethan nodded. He had faced threats, intruders, and complex puzzles, but leadership among a coalition of alien species was an entirely different challenge. "I understand," he said, gripping the edge of a console. "I'll do my best." The first sign of confrontation came as a series of drones detected movement near the station's perimeter. Small fighter crafts broke from the main fleet, their shapes unfamiliar and intimidating. Ethan and Lyra monitored the approach carefully. "They are testing us," Lyra said. "They want to see our reaction, to find weaknesses in the station's defenses." Ethan studied the incoming data. The ships moved in unpredictable patterns, attempting to bypass the drones and enter the station's defense perimeter. He quickly devised a strategy. Instead of confronting them head-on, he would create decoy signals that mimic station activity while preparing hidden energy barriers to trap any intruder. Lyra watched in quiet admiration. "Clever. You do not react passively. You anticipate and adapt. That is what makes humans extraordinary." The small crafts approached the station, but as Ethan had predicted, they were drawn to the decoy signals. Moments later, the energy barriers activated, confining the intruders without damage. The crafts became trapped, floating harmlessly in place, unable to proceed. Ethan allowed himself a brief smile. It was the first tangible victory against the fleet. Yet, Lyra's expression reminded him that the true battle had only just begun. As the night cycle continued, communication signals indicated that the fleet's main body was preparing for direct assault. Ethan and Lyra worked to coordinate every aspect of the station's defenses. Shields were reinforced, drones repositioned, and the station's AI was fully integrated with human oversight, a combination that maximized efficiency. Lyra turned to Ethan, her eyes serious. "We cannot rely solely on technology. The fleet will adapt, and we will face challenges they cannot predict. That is where you come in. Humans can improvise in ways other species cannot. You must lead the station's response when the assault begins." Ethan felt the weight of responsibility settle over him, but it did not intimidate him. He had trained for complex situations, and his previous successes had proven his capability. "I'll lead," he said firmly. "We'll protect the station and everyone aboard." The first strike arrived without warning. Massive energy beams cut through space, hitting the outer shields of the station. Alarms blared, red lights flashing across every corridor. Ethan and Lyra ran to the central command deck, coordinating drones, redirecting energy, and analyzing enemy tactics in real time. Ethan's mind worked rapidly. He noticed that the fleet's attack patterns followed sequences that repeated every few seconds. Using this observation, he instructed the drones to exploit gaps in the attacks, drawing enemy fire away from critical systems. The station's shields held, and the fleet's initial strike caused minimal damage. Lyra observed him, impressed. "You see patterns where others see chaos," she said. "That is why humans can overcome overwhelming odds." The battle intensified. Larger ships approached, firing synchronized volleys of energy. Ethan used a combination of human intuition and technological skill to guide drones and energy fields, creating unpredictable defensive maneuvers. Each successful maneuver weakened the enemy's confidence, forcing them to hesitate and adapt. In a tense moment, Ethan noticed that a group of enemy ships was attempting to breach the station's energy core. Without hesitation, he activated a diversion. Several maintenance drones, programmed to emit energy signatures, moved in a coordinated formation toward the approaching ships. The fleet, unable to distinguish decoy from station core, diverted their fire. The core remained secure. Lyra nodded approvingly. "Improvise, adapt, and protect. You have learned well, Ethan." Hours passed as the battle raged. The fleet tried multiple strategies, but Ethan's combination of human creativity, quick thinking, and courage kept the station safe. He coordinated with alien allies in the station, earning their trust through decisive action and clear communication. Slowly, the tide of the battle began to turn. Finally, the fleet attempted a direct assault on the station's central hub. Ethan realized this was their final attempt to test both the humans and the station's defenses. He quickly devised a counter-strategy. He would use the station's layout to funnel enemy ships into narrow corridors where their numbers would be irrelevant. He directed drones to lead the fleet into the trap, activating energy fields at precise intervals. The enemy ships became confined, their movements restricted. The fleet attempted to break free, but Ethan's careful planning left no options. Their assault was neutralized without catastrophic damage. Lyra stepped forward, her expression proud. "Ethan, you have demonstrated what humans can do when faced with impossible odds. You have led, protected, and adapted. That is why you are essential." Ethan felt a surge of pride. The night had been long and dangerous, but he had proven the value of human intelligence, courage, and ingenuity. The fleet, unable to breach the station, began retreating. As Com returned to Station Ardent, Ethan and Lyra reviewed the events. Every decision, every action had been critical. Ethan realized that his ability to think creatively under pressure had not only saved the station, but also shown the galaxy that humans were capable of leadership in times of crisis. Lyra's gaze turned toward the stars. Your actions tonight will be remembered, Ethan. Not as a single victory, but as proof that humans are capable of shaping events on a galactic scale. You have shown qualities that other species often overlook: resilience, resourcefulness, and the ability to inspire trust. Ethan nodded, reflecting on everything that had happened. He had entered the station expecting routine work, but he had faced challenges that tested every skill he possessed. And in doing so, he had proven something larger. Humans could rise to meet extraordinary circumstances. The station was quiet now, the hum of machinery and soft lights creating a sense of calm after the storm. Ethan looked out at the stars, feeling a connection to the larger universe. For the first time, he understood that humanity was not just a small species struggling to survive. Humans could influence, lead, and contribute to galactic affairs in ways that mattered. Lyra turned to him, her expression softening. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, she said. But tonight you have shown what it means to be human. Courage, intelligence, and adaptability, these are your greatest strengths. Ethan allowed himself a small smile. He felt exhausted but exhilarated. The trials had been intense, but he had learned more about himself, humans, and the galaxy than he ever imagined. He understood now that survival was only the beginning. Leadership, ingenuity, and courage were what truly defined a species. As the station's artificial day cycle began, Ethan made a silent promise. He would continue to rise to challenges, to demonstrate the value of humanity, and to prove that humans had a place among the stars. The galaxy was vast, mysterious, and full of dangers, but humans were capable of facing them and shaping the future. Lyra watched him, noting every detail, every decision. Her tests had revealed the truth. Humans were not just survivors. They were innovators, leaders, and problem solvers. And with Ethan at the forefront, the galaxy had witnessed the first clear proof of what humans could achieve. Ethan felt a sense of purpose unlike anything he had known before. He had faced threats that seemed impossible, navigated challenges that required the sharpest intellect and courage, and emerged victorious. Humanity, he realized, was capable of greatness. And as the stars glimmered outside Station Ardent, he knew this was only the beginning. The galaxy had many tests ahead, but humans had already shown they could rise above expectation. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the hum of the station beneath his feet, and looked toward the future with determination. Whatever the galaxy threw at him next, he would face it with intelligence, courage, and ingenuity. Humans had a place among the stars, and he intended to prove it again and again. The night passed, quiet now but full of promise. Ethan had shown the galaxy that humans could survive, adapt, and lead. And in the vast, endless reaches of space, that proof would echo far beyond the walls of Station Ardent.